Welcome back, and we're moving into our second conversation for today as we are joined by the president of the Belize Hotel Association, Tejada, talking about the upcoming biannual meeting. Good morning and welcome.
Lady. Kevin, morning.
Morning.
So Ted, of course, we started talking off about the good, bad problem that Belize has of recent, with extensive lines at the airport, greater and greater interest in people coming into the country to explore all the beauty that we have, and just the infrastructure that can't keep up. Let me just hear from your point of view, what you understand of this problem and how you're involved in helping find a solution.
You know, we heard about the problem on Saturday about the fingerprinting, and it created a backlog. Actually, I heard it was about three and a half hours waiting.
Ouch.
And it's something that they're implementing at the airport. I understand it has to be done. We don't have information as yet what is going to happen going forward, but yesterday it started all over. Yesterday the lines were not as bad, but Saturdays, when that's the majority of the flights coming in, you have 26 flights in a Saturday, so the amount of tourists coming to our country is massive on a given Saturday.
Yeah.
So more information definitely we will have for the biannual on this situation. What is the airport doing about this? How are we going to better move the lines at the airport? Definitely we will have some more information for our biannual on Friday.
And in fact, your biannual is themed exactly around this issue.
That is correct.
And similar issues. How does a country and a hotel prepare for the projected growth in tourism in the area of capacity building of skilled, trained resources?
You know, as you heard about 2 weeks ago, the Minister of Tourism said that we have expanded in terms of arrivals, in terms of airline space at the airport to close to its maximum capacity at the moment. The airport has to look at where else can we add another booth for another airline that might be coming in the near future. But at this moment, we added a new flight from Mexico directly to Belize, starting Saturdays and Sundays, and only Saturdays and Sundays. Next week, there's going to be another one from the United States adding to the queue. So that's another 100 tourists arriving into the country. We've had a 10% growth in arrivals or seats available for this year, December, added to our list. So that's a humongous growth year over year, 10%.
Yeah.
So how do we prepare for that? That is our question. How do we prepare? I was in San Pedro 2 weeks ago visiting some of the new constructions that are taking place. I mean, they're massive. You're talking about close to 200 rooms properties that will be opening in 2019, 2020. We're looking at least 500 rooms next year and another 500 rooms the following year. We have never had that growth or that expansion in 1 year. Yeah. So how do we prepare? Do we have the manpower? Do we have the human capital? Is the airport prepared? So all these things that are happening at the airport on Saturday is a trial and error. We have to do them.
Yes.
And we have to learn from them very fast. How do we better the processes so that our tourists that are coming here are happy? Yeah. We see that there's a humongous growth. I mean, I was looking at the statistics that just came out on the 28th of November from the statistics of Belize. It says that 50% of the GDP for this country comes from tourism. Wow. 50%.
Yes.
So it
is now our greatest income earner. Yeah.
It is the greatest income earner.
Beyond agriculture. Yeah.
And just imagine if it is our greatest income earner, and we're going to have the most amount of inventory being added next year, it can easily go to 60 to 70% of the income of this country.
But that can also be worrisome because tourism is fragile. I mean, like the most delicate piece of glass that you own. And I can imagine from your front, it has got to be a struggle because it's easy to go from a destination that everybody wants to go to, and I can think of places where people love going, and I go and I'm like, no thanks. Yeah, I wouldn't go there because it may be too crowded, it may be slow, inefficient services. How do you prepare for that growth? We love it. We all love to know that we live the place that everybody wants to go. But are we ready, and are we preparing ourselves sufficiently so that the person who came 5 years ago can still have that same unique, pleasant experience today or next year?
I believe it has to do with training. You know, we have partnered with a company, Travel Alliance Media, Maria Antonieta Aguirre. She's going to be giving us a seminar on Friday. Her company, actually what they do, they specialize in a program called the Travel Agent Specialist. So they have developed an online course. They have about 74,000 travel agents that are members of that company. And so what they do, they came to Belize and they created a program called Specialized Travel Agent in Belize. So you have to certify yourself, a travel agent in the United States that would like to sell Belize, have to go through the whole process and certify themselves to be a specialist in Belize. Once they have certified themselves, they know a little bit about what Belize is all and how do we sell it. What we thought about at the Hotel Association is how do we partner with this company that they can provide the same product to all our hotels in the country of Belize, not only the hotels, but to the universities. Have every individual that is in the tourism industry go through that same process and certifies themselves to be a specialist in Belize. I mean, if you go to my front desk and you say, what can I do today? I'm sure that my staff sometimes might say, you know, I don't really know because they just came out of high school, they just got hired,
True.
they've never been a tourist in their own country. And so if we can get all of our frontline employees to go through that process and certify themselves, all of them will be speaking the same language. And I think there is where, as a country, we need to start going. Creating a university for all our hoteliers, especially that we are now producing 50% of the GDP, and all of us should all be speaking the same language to all the tourists.
Now, growth is, well, first, I'm very happy you've made my entire Christmas. Something good is happening here. Something good is happening. We have the proof of it. This is not guessing. But growth is proof that we're doing something right. Can I ask you, what have the hotels and the country been doing right that has now blossomed into this growth that we're now seeing? What have we been doing right?
You know, I think recently the Belize Hotel Association, the Belize Tourism Board, the Belize Tourism Industry Association, we have all come together and said, you know what, we all need to be speaking the same language. Instead of one marketing and doing their own thing, let's come together and focus on what we need to do as a country. Our relationship with the Belize Tourism Board, Belize Tourism Industry Association, I think has never been better. And so we market together. As a matter of fact, whatever the Belize Tourism Board goes to market, nearly the Hotel Association does not go. We go the other way. Why? Because we want to cover more space. Before, we were going to the same shows. And now, we say, okay, you're going to Chicago, okay, we're going to go to Denver and promote in Denver. And so we know that we are maximizing our dollar. We have been speaking the same language. We use the same videos that they use. We're using the same teams that they use, so that these tourists out there that are seeing these videos or seeing the advertisement say, oh, Belize is a curious place and we need to go there. I think the publicity, our language as well, being that we're an English-speaking country, as well, we have been very fortunate that last 2 years, the hurricanes that really affected the Caribbean did not hit Belize. In Guatemala, we had the volcano that erupted near Antigua, affected that area. In Central America, we have turmoil going on in Nicaragua, some in Honduras. And I think all of those, the tourists still want to travel. They still want to go to the Caribbean. They still want to go to Central America. So where do they choose? Belize.
Wow.
So when we talk about the experience that a visitor gets in Belize, you know, when we were, what is it, Mother Nature's best kept secret, it was almost exclusive for a visitor. I went to that mysterious place. Now, it is a place that many of their friends may have been to, and they know people who have gone there. I think as a Belizean traveling, we see it as well, where you used to say, well, I'm from Belize, and they say, where is that? And now you say, I'm from Belize, they're like, wow.
It's unbelievable.
So, yeah. But how do you not dilute the product? How do you, as the Hotel Association and all the other members ensure that the quality stays on point?
You know, I was looking at some statistics from the region, actually from the entire Central America. I was privy for some information from one of the largest OTAs in this area.
What is OTAs?
Online travel agent.
Thank you.
And what they showed me is that presently Belize, in terms of average rate, we're trending the highest in the region. Actually, on a particular day, that day we were looking at the statistics, it was a Thursday, Belize sold 354 room nights here in the country. Wow. At an average rate of about $275 a night. We looked at Panama, for example. Panama that night sold 750, which is twice and over what Belize sold, but they sold it at $60. So they're selling a lot more inventory, but when you look at the revenue that Belize is making is comparable to some of these large countries. As a matter of fact, they're looking at Belize and focusing on opening an office here in Belize because of the expansion and the growth. I think that has to do, how do we not dilute the product? We have to charge for the product that we have. It's a premium product that we have. We have a boutique hotel. We don't have these massive hotels with 300-400 rooms. We have hotels that have 20, 25 rooms, exclusive product with $300-400. So the tourists that come to Belize are the ones that really want to get away from that massive Cancun, Playa del Carmen, and say, you know what, let's come to Belize and enjoy some nice time on the beach and some good ceviche in San Pedro, Placencia. And going to that point, we're bringing somebody from the Turks and Caicos Island. She is the CEO of the Tourism Hotel Association. Stacy has been given the task, how do we prepare ourselves? I don't think we're ever going to go to that massive amount of tourism, but yes, the expansion next year is going to be at least 10% of what we presently have. And that is where we have to prepare for that, because that's, for us, that's a massive expansion.
And you're talking not just infrastructure preparation, you're talking people, training. Where are our weaknesses, and where do you see the need for investment in the properly trained frontline person for this booming industry?
You know, this is how I see it, and I think many haven't seen it this way. When I see a hotel that is opening with 150 rooms, I guarantee you that they need nothing less than 150 employees. So when you look at an island of San Pedro and a hotel of that magnitude opens, we have over 900 hotels in the country of Belize, but a lot of those 900 hotels have 50 rooms and below. So let's say somebody that has 25 rooms, we've had faithful employees working for them for 20 years. Yes, they have been their faithful stewards. Suddenly, a hotel for 150 rooms comes on board and says, you know, we need sales and marketing director, we need revenue manager, accountants, front desk managers, and minimum, their salaries are a lot more attractive because they have 150 rooms and they can afford it. So many of these small properties that have had followers or employees for 15 years, they say, oh, you know, I have reached to the top. I am second to the GM or to the owner. I can go to Hilton and I have room to grow. And not only that, their salaries might even be starting higher than what they're actually making. And so we might be creating ourselves our own competition. And there's where we need to start training more people that will come and take these positions that people will be moving forward. It's going to be very interesting.
So in terms of, and just to follow, piggyback on what Marlene was asking, in what areas do we need to prepare the most as a country to accommodate this growth?
I was looking, for example, I love going to statistics. For some reason, I love numbers. They speak my language.
And we love evidence.
Yes, yes. So what we were looking at with these people from this online travel agency is that Belize, when you're looking now at December and January, and we were looking back in October, many of the properties start panicking because their bookings are not as healthy as the year before. So what happened, they start lowering their rate because they say, oh, I am not booking as much as I had last year. My bookings last year, I had 60%. My bookings show 40%. So the first thing they do,
Drop prices.
drop the rates. So what's happening with the traveler? They're studying this and they realize, oh, I'm going to Belize, but I'm no longer going to book 30 days in advance. Let me wait 2 weeks before, because they will drop their rates. And so we need to train our people to look at these statistics, revenue management, called yield management. How do you yield? Don't panic. Look at the trends. Look at what's happening. Look at the amount of airlines. If last year we had 20 airlines, now we have 26, why would you lower your rates? We have 6 airlines more with a capacity of 100. That's at least 600 more passengers coming on board. Yes, you're going to have more people buying instead of less. So we have to look at all of this and train our people how to look at them.
So Ted, I know last time you were here, we asked about this, and I just want an update. So if they're not going to hotels, there's quite a possibility people are going to the Airbnbs or the homestays. How much have we been able to work with this growing industry of people renting out their homes for tourism, especially where perhaps a hotel association or a BTIA or a BTB isn't as directly involved with the people who are renting out their homes?
That is a growing trend, Marlene. We cannot stop it. It is the evolution of anything, just like the Uber in the United States and now all over the world. The Airbnb is as well another evolution. I know that BTB is working tirelessly in trying to make sure that all the Airbnb are registered in this country. There's a heavy penalty that is being sanctioned against them if they are caught not being registered. I know they have people looking at these websites on a daily basis to trying to catch someone. I know that there's new regulation that is going to pass to cabinet to actually increase that penalty. And we don't want to go against the Airbnb. We just want to make sure that they are registered, that they're taxpayers in this country, that they're contributing to the tax of this economy as well. And as well that the BTB also regulates them, just as they regulate the hotels and say, you must have a fire system, you must have this. They must
and
also be regulated.
Control.
Exactly, because they are part of the inventory, and if something goes terribly wrong on Airbnb, they don't say, oh, is this little house in Hopkins? They said in the country of Belize, we had a terrible experience. And we are all affected by that nature.
I want to continue more with potential challenges. When I called tourism fragile before, one of the things that I think of is looking at the crime situation in Belize, which we now see has expanded to include some of our visitors.
Yes.
I think where we've not seen the impact is because these cases have not become sensationalized beyond the country itself. A few outlets pick it up, not so much. But that is a real life threat to a growing industry that is important to our economy. So where do organizations like the Hotel Association, what is your role in helping to because controlling crime, it's not just about Belizeans, it's now about affecting this industry as well.
Definite. As a small organization, the Hotel Association, we have 3 employees, full-time employees. Our main job has always been marketing and marketing abroad. Our staff, together with the board of directors, we travel to at least 20 international shows. And as you know, traveling takes away 5 days when you are somewhere. So we haven't been able to work very closely in the crime area. We've been depending on the police and depending on the country to do something about it. We are in contact communication with the BTB, who has more role in that aspect. But definitely is something that is, like you mentioned, is a fragile industry. We're hoping that with the growth of and the expansion of the economy, with what more jobs that we are bringing to the country, that the people that are committing the crime, they see that there's also a benefit for them in working in the industry. We're expanding very rapidly, and their jobs in providing vegetables, for example, we consume more vegetables and fruits that we're importing from Mexico. I mean, it's the amount of vegetables that we have to consume. When the tourist comes to Belize and they want guacamole, they don't want to hear that we only produce it 4 months per year. They want guacamole with their tostadas. So there's a huge growth, not only in the hotels itself, but the other aspects. I mean, the amount of poultry, the amount of, I was reading the article, the amount of turkey has, for this year, has close to 10% increase compared to last year, because there's a demand in the country of Belize with the amount of tourists that we are arriving. So it's in every area and every aspect that you look at, there's a growth because of the industry. So definitely we're inviting every person that is involved in tourism to our biannual, which is going to be this Friday at the Biltmore Hotel. At 9 o'clock, we start with the seminars. The seminars is from 9 to 12. And at 1 o'clock, our biannual actually starts. So we will be sharing with the industry these statistics that we were just sharing, more in-depth information, what the association is doing. And we want the stakeholders to get involved. That's the only way that you can benefit, if you get involved. So we want them to get involved.
No, I wanted you to divulge for us a little bit more as to what is on the agenda for the biannual meeting. In addition to this focus, how have you broken it down in both your seminars? Because this is the theme.
Yes.
How to prepare. But have you broken down both in the seminars? You have, what is the breakdown for seminars? What each speaker is going to be speaking on, and on the agenda itself, what's on the agenda?
So Stacy Cox from the Turks and Caicos Hotel Association and Tourism, she has been tasked to speak, how do we prepare for this growth? Yes, that has been her task. As you know, they have massive hotels in this region, and they have over 1.3 million tourists arriving. So we want to know how have they done it in the Caribbean. She has a lot of expertise in that area, and how do we prepare? Maria Antonieta has been tasked to show us how do we train our people. Training is super important. We also have Mr. Minor LaRue. He is the digital marketing manager for BTB. Digital marketing is big in the hotel industry. Nowadays, not much printing is being done, to be honest. We are looking at specific targeting. So he's going to be speaking on digital marketing. How can you enhance your bookings? How can you get more bookings using your digital marketing? And our board of directors, we will be presenting on what we have been doing over the last 6 months, and how can you benefit as a member. We have just launched a new site, a website, and how are we using that site to, one, offer more jobs in the country. Now there's a resource that all the members can log in and post their jobs on one center. Before, you had to go, for example, to Biltmore to see if Biltmore has any availability. Now you go to one site and you will be able to see that there's 100 members with 100 different offers on one website.
No, my final question is in terms of recent, the government has indicated that they're going to be injecting specific tourist attractions. They're going to be injecting resources into Corozal.
Yes.
As a destination. They're going to try to boost
building new products.
Building new products in Corozal. What is the Belize Hotel Association doing to sort of meet and prepare for that specific Corozal package?
You know, when we look at Corozal, Toledo, those are the districts that have the least amount of visitors. The product exists. We have the inventory there. And it's very surprising when you look at those numbers actually of what their occupancy is. And any hotel around the world will not be able to survive and pay their expenses with what we are actually producing out of those districts. So the inventory exists. It's the product that we are lacking. We do have product, but it has to be enhanced. It has to be meaningful for someone to say, you know what, I'll spend 3 days in Placencia, but I'm going to go to Corozal because I got to go see this particular product that exists there. 50% of the tourists that come to the country of Belize is amazingly going to San Pedro. And after that, Barrier Reef live video discovery we had on, on Sunday, the number going to that region will increase. Yeah. So we need to create a product in Corozal. We need to create, or enhance, I would say, in Toledo, so that people will say, I got to go spend 1 or 2 nights in these districts because it's worth going.
All right, Ted, well, we are out of time, but as you said, the biennial meeting takes place on Friday. It's also open to people who are interested in learning more. Tell us once again. Yeah,
it is going to be on Friday at the Biltmore Hotel. It starts from 9 o'clock in the morning, seminars from 9 to 12, lunch is included. For members, it's free, and from non-members, we do charge $35 just to cover the expense of the lunch. Okay. And 1 o'clock is the biannual from 1 to 5, and at 6 we have a social, which you are also invited, Kevin. So where we have the partners, so you can meet them, and it's always good when you have that social and you can speak to other partners and see what they're experiencing.
Yeah. All right. Well, best of luck, and thank you for coming
very much.
in.
Thank you very much, Kevin.
We're gonna take a break, and when we come back, we'll be talking about Belize December promotions. So stay tuned.